Hello, everybody, and welcome to Awe, the series of well-being conversations that is going to transform and inform and excite and delight you. And my name is Kate Whelan, and I'm here today with the amazing Pollyanna Darling, who is a beautiful friend of mine, an amazing woman, somebody who I've just co-created a brilliant music event with. And yeah, Pollyanna, I just want to share with the audience today who you are for me. And for me, you are just one of those inspirational people who loves to have fun, who loves to play music, who loves to be amongst other people. You are wise, you are generous, you are hilarious, super talented. And I just know that you've had an amazing journey through life. And so without further ado, I'd love to hand over to you and get you to introduce yourself to my people and tell them, who are you? What are you doing in the world?
Thank you, Kate. And thank you for saying all those lovely things about me. I don't never know what to say to who are you. I can tell you what I've been doing this week. This week I've been working, and I made a promise to the earth about somewhere between 5 and 7 years ago that I would devote the rest of my life like in service to planet. So I work for a reforestation charity. So I work from home. I've been doing that. I've been parenting. I've got 4 boys. 3 of them still sort of live with me. Only one needs any real parental kind of stuff now. I rehearsed for a gig that we did last night. I sing in a band. I was dancing today because I've got a performance later this month, and I'm racing my stand-up paddleboard tomorrow morning in our big race here on the Sunshine Coast. And yeah, I did a bit of weeding this morning, so I got a lot going on. And I'm also planning a massive road trip up to the Daintree with my youngest son after Christmas, which I'm super excited about because I love road trips. So yeah, that's this week.
Wow, that's all just in 1 week.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So what I heard is that you are in service to our planet. You're planting trees, you're reforesting areas of our country. You are a dedicated mother to 4.
Well, not so much dedicated anymore. I've been parenting for 21 years and I'm kind of in that like, I think it's time for me to do some things now. Yeah.
I got that as well. I got that you're also now, you know, you've got 1 baby that is now almost no longer a baby, and you're starting to really do things for yourself, and music is playing a big part in your life, as well as dancing and co-creating with other people, and you know, bringing community together. I know that that's something that's that's a big passion of yours as well. And I'm always interested to learn from people or to share with people about the journey, because I know you've had an amazing week. You've had a full-on week. You're doing amazing things out there. And I guess the purpose of these conversations is to share amazing humans with other amazing humans, but it's also to have a look at, you know, well, has it always been like this for you? Is this a standard week for you?
And, it is now, but it's like I was thinking about this before. This is like maybe in the last 6 months to a year, I finally feel like I'm living my life, and I'm going to be 51 at the end of this month. So it's taken 50 years to actually get to the point where I'm not being driven by trauma. So like I come from a very dysfunctional childhood background, and I mean, it took me a long time to understand that, you know, I've been living with CPTSD most of my life and had lots of responses from that, which caused me to do things like refuse opportunities. I've always been given loads of opportunities, and I've always just been like, I can't do it, or got overwhelmed, or my nervous system would get overwhelmed. So I've knocked back so many opportunities. I've made a lot of choices in my life because I didn't have any safety in my own body. So I would put my safety in someone else, like a partner, for example, and then those relationships would be very dysfunctional, and I wouldn't be able to leave. I'd stay in there because my safety was in that person. So I couldn't like not be in that scenario, because otherwise then I'd lose my safety. And obviously I didn't know that was what was going on. So a lot of my life has been spent making decisions from trauma, fundamentally, and not understanding my own behaviors. Just like 2 examples are, I am an incredibly loving person. So if I know somebody and I'm connected to them, I just love them. I just love them. But for a long period of my life, I couldn't, like, it was like stuck in me. I couldn't do it. And even with a partner, you know, like I'd want to, you know, I'd feel love and I'd want to reach out and touch them, and something like stop me from doing it. And I'd be like, what's wrong with me? I can't, you know, like, why can't I do this? And then along with all of that, because like I'm a highly sensitive person, and I've got like a overactive kind of nervous system. So if I get into any kind of pain or anything, my whole body just goes, oh my God, freak out, there's pain, get really tight and tense. And you know, so I've got loads of injuries. I was in a car accident. Like, there's all these things that have happened, and I felt like for a lot of my life I was just trapped, you know, like trapped inside something that wouldn't let me be all of who I am. And at the same time, all of who I am is pretty kooky. So I get a lot of that.
That's what I love about you the most.
I get so much of that hidden, and you know, not talking about that, not going to say anything about that, not going to unleash any of my irreverent humor, you know, like just I don't know, I just feel like I just lived a lot of my life in reaction. And because I'm an empath, you know, I didn't want to be myself, because I didn't want to feel how other people feel in response to me. And I think most of that is because I didn't have any safety in my own body. So I wasn't like in my own being, I'm here, it's okay here I am, take it or leave it, whatever, you know. So it's been a massive journey to get here. And I think only, well, a lot of my happiness has come since my last marriage ended. So that something about the ending of that marriage and me seeing the physical impacts of the trauma in my body. So at the point where we actually physically separated from one another, I had been meditating every day for a while, and like I was really kind of in my body. And the night before he moved out, I went into this humongous like nervous system meltdown trauma thing that happened. And because I'd been meditating a lot, I was sort of in it and watching it at the same time. And I was hyperventilating, I was uncontrollably crying, like I was completely dysfunctional. My whole body just went into this huge meltdown. And I'm watching it going, what is, you know, like, what is this? What is this? And like I couldn't stop hyperventilating. I couldn't stop crying. This went on and on and on. So after that happened, I kind of went, what was that? Like, what was that thing that happened inside my body that was this response that really had nothing to do with him going, because I was, you know, after after he moved out, I felt so much better. So it was a good thing. It was a good thing us separating, but something in my being was like, oh no, this is terrible. And so that took me on this journey of kind of asking this question, what is that? And that took me, and there's a thing that happens where if you ask yourself big questions and you don't have the answer and you don't know and you don't try and work it out, things will like walk into your life that go, here's a way that you could answer that. Here's a way you could answer that. Follow this little breadcrumb, whatever. And all those things started happening. And at the same time as that, so that was me like starting to understand the trauma that was held in my body, and unpicking that allowed me to understand a whole lot of behaviors. And at the same time, I found this wonderful woman called Carolyn Elliott, who wrote a book called Existential Kink. And she she runs a community. She's in the US. She runs a community of incredibly kooky people like me who are like right into hermetic alchemy and ways to understand reality and all sorts of things that most people consider to be completely out there, which I just love. And so for the first time in my life, I went, well, I've dabbled in all this stuff forever, but I've kind of pretended to everyone that I'm not really doing it. I'm actually why don't I just embrace it entirely, because I love it so much. So it's like I've been on this double path of, I'm trying to understand the trauma and actually understanding the trauma and feeling it coming undone, doing something that I really freaking love doing, that just is. So in hermetic alchemy, there's two phases. There's solve and there's coagula. And they come from the process of the magicians that tried to turn lead into gold. And so solve is the melting down of things, and coagula is when it reforms into something else. So the understanding of the trauma and stuff is like the solve practice. And then, really starting to let myself fully embrace who I actually am is the coagula process. And at the same time, there was this third piece of becoming so much more embodied in my own body, like really being in my body, because I think I spent all my life just in my head, divorced from my body. And there's a very good reason for that, because it was all where all the grief and trauma were held. So of course I'm not going to want to be in there. But part of that journey of embodiment has been dance and movement, and so those three things at once, embracing the things that I, this kind of field that I absolutely love to pieces, looking at the trauma and starting to understand the ways that I've behaved and my responsibility in things like the breakdown of relationships, why I am where I am in my life and all of that, and the embodiment piece, and moving, like really moving my body and starting to trust my whole body to have resilience, and that if I re-injure myself, it's okay. I can just wait and it'll come back, and just learning that trust. That has just like radically overhauled my entire existence, to the point where I just get up every day and go, I am so blessed. It almost seems rude. And yeah, wonderful things have been happening. People are so kind to me, and I see this light in their eyes, and they smile, and I'm like, oh, look at that. And there's a one of the 4 immeasurables in Buddhism is sympathetic joy, and I think it's mudita, I can never remember. And sympathetic joy is taking joy in the joy of others. And so that's been another thing that's just grown and grown and grown, is my joy in the joy of others. And I mean, you can't ever have too much joy, and joy is a momentary thing, right? So your own joy is only momentary, but other people are having momentary joys, and then you like in this whole joy bonanza. I'll stop talking right now in case you want to say something.
No, I mean, that is just fantastic. And thank you for sharing all of that. I got it, that you had a curiosity, and it was to something, you were curious about what was going on with yourself.
Yeah.
And you decided to investigate that and also follow the path of doing something that you love, and something that you were really interested in, to kind of work to make sense of it for yourself.
And that's not easy, I have to say. Like, it's not that easy. It seems like people always say, do what you love, right? And you go, oh, that sounds really easy. This is the thing I love. I'm just going to do it. But for me, it's not that easy. Like, I was offered this opportunity to sing with these guys maybe a year and a half ago. And I sort of went along to do it. And I was like, I don't know, it's okay. And then I sort of let it go by the wayside. And I don't know if I felt unconfident or something. Like, stuff comes up. If you go and do what you love, freaking stuff comes up. And so I sort of let it slide. And then I don't know what happened, but the opportunity came up again with the same people. And I've sort of stuck at it this time, because I was like, oh, I'm not, like, why would I get so much joy out of this? But sometimes, with things that you love, you get joy out of it when you're in it, and it's enjoyable when you're in it. And then when you're not doing it and you think about doing it, it seems like maybe you don't want to do it, because maybe you've got to get in the car and go somewhere, or maybe you've got to think in some particular way, or maybe you've got to get materials together or paintbrushes or whatever it is, like there's obstacles, and overriding those obstacles can be really hard, especially if you if you're depressed, or you're stressed out or overwhelmed or whatever. Like, people say do what you love as though it's like, oh yeah, just go do that. But I don't think it's that simple, and even with my paddleboarding, which I love, I absolutely love it, and I have no real idea why, but I injure myself constantly because I've got an injury in my neck, and one in my thoracic spine, and one in my lower spine, and so I constantly end up in pain, and that could be a very off-putting thing, but I've sort of learned over time that it's okay. My body is resilient. It will come back to balance. I just need to work with that. But doing what you love requires some grit, it requires some kind of willingness to overcome kind of physical obstacles, like having to get some things together if you want to do art or play an instrument or whatever. Like, you got to actually plug your guitar in and sit down and like do all that stuff, which sounds easy, but actually isn't necessarily easy, because it's much easier to procrastinate. And also you might have to overcome your own internal objections in a kind way, like kindly overcome your procrastination or your lack of confidence or whatever it is that's in the way. So I can't remember why I started saying that. Do you remember?
Well, I remember I was just saying that, you had a level of, like, something occurred for you, you had this huge emotional release, and then you became curious about what was actually going on with this hyperventilation. And you were saying it's not easy to just do what you love. And I think what you're saying is that it actually takes something especially as an adult who has experienced trauma and gone through dysfunctions in childhood, which is a lot of us, right?
Yeah, like it is a lot of us.
There's a lot of us out there, and everybody's trauma is relative to their own life experience, and it's still, we're all still impacted in our own individual way. And I think I don't think I've ever met a human who has had stuff around going and doing what they love, who has not had some stuff around going and just doing what they love.
Yeah,
you know, and there's a lot of adult humans out there who are actually not doing what they love. And this is exactly the reason why I wanted to have a conversation with you today, because you're so inspirational, and I know that you have gone about it in your own way. Like I personally have had 10 years of therapy, right, and done all the things. I've gone about it in my own way as well. And I think, I know you want to talk about that today, but the one thing that you did mention earlier is, and not on this particular recording, but you've mentioned in the past around trusting yourself. So
yeah.
what part does that play?
Well, so I mean, one of the things that, and I am not a therapist or anything, but one of the things that I feel happens for people that had very dysfunctional family backgrounds and who are carrying trauma in their bodies is that you don't trust yourself. Like at a fundamental level, you do not trust yourself, because what you experienced as a child, in most cases, showed the child that the world is unsafe. I may be unsafe in my own body. The people that are supposed to love me are unsafe in whatever degree. My needs can't be met, and all of those kind of things. And so, I think that leads to a fundamental distrust of self. And so, and there's a lot of voices that go with that. Like there's critical voices that are going to give you a hard time when you want to go for something that's and the thing is that those critical voices, they're actually always trying to protect you. They're not, there's a whole load of different streams of thought where the idea is that, you've got to get rid of this part of you that is telling you that, you shouldn't do that because you're too fat, or because you're too stupid, or, don't go and do that. People will think you're an idiot, or you're going to make a fool of yourself. You're too old. You're not sexy enough. You're whatever it is, like you're too stupid, whatever. That voice is, awful and should be got rid of. But really, those voices are, they're like coping mechanisms that are trying to protect you. And so, like the other day I was walking to dance, and I was walking to the rehearsal, and we're going to do this, we're doing this performance, and there's 6 of us, and my dance teacher is incredible. She's an incredible human being. She's an amazing dancer, and there's no way that I could ever dance like her, even if I danced until I was 90. And I love dancing with her. It makes me really happy. And I'm also kind of conscious that I am a 50-year-old woman. and my
Very
body's
hot, very hot and sexy 50-year-old woman.
My body's in a certain condition of agedness at this point. Anyway, so I'm walking through where I live, and I was walking along the street, and I was just, quite happily going to the rehearsal, and all of a sudden this voice went, who do you think, like in my head, who do you think you are? What are you going to wear, those little tiny shorts? You're just like, ugh, like this horrible, mean voice. It was so nasty to me, and I was like, and I noticed my shoulders slumping, and I was like, yeah, you're right, who do I think I am? And then I went, hang on a minute, hold on one cotton picking minute. I was like, I know you. What, I know that you're actually trying to protect me. And I kind of went into that space of like, and what is it that you're trying to protect me from? You're trying to protect me from making a fool of myself, and and receiving that horrible emotion of, I've made a fool of myself, and now I'm in this like heinous cringe, and I might never be able to face people again or whatever. And as soon as you do that, right, you realize that the thing that you're actually afraid of is your own feelings. Like, when you boil down to it, you're basically afraid of how you're going to feel in whatever scenario it is. Even if it is that other people are saying horrible things to you, or you feel like you've made a complete dick of yourself, it's still your own feelings that you don't want to feel. And so in that particular moment, I was just like, thank you so much for wanting to protect me. That's so lovely, but it's okay, because I'm sure you're a child part of me somewhere. I'm actually 50 and I'm going to go and do this thing. And I'm like, okay, I am aging and I have got weird crepey skin in different places. And I don't look like I did when I was 20. And I don't look like any of the, younger women who are doing the dancing. And that's completely fine. And if I do make a fool of myself, I'll just feel the awful feeling of making a fool of myself, and then it will pass and I'll go do something else. So I think the piece around trusting yourself is to actually trust yourself, because even if you get it wrong, you're still going to be in a situation where you get it wrong and you feel how you feel about getting it wrong, and maybe you have to apologize to some people, and then your life keeps going and you can do something else. Whereas if you don't trust yourself, you can't do anything. Like, you're always stopped. It's like always like, I can't say yes to that, I can't, or like stuck in thinking of like, I want to do this thing, but I don't know, my part of me says this and part of and then you're just stuck on the, like, sitting on the fence is really painful, because having a fence paling up your butt is not that comfortable. So like, I think trusting yourself, trusting your body, trusting the wisdom of your body is really important, because our bodies have got all this intelligence that we don't kind of think of a lot of the time. So like the field of the heart, like the electromagnetic field of the heart, is something like 10 foot around your body. Then there's a whole lot of things that are going on in the gut that are similar to the neurons in the brain. So that whole thing of gut feeling is actually legitimate. And your whole being is like it's sensing the world all the time. And so trusting what you're receiving from your body, trusting your intuition, trusting your heart, like all those things really, really matter. And they're also not easy things to do if you've spent your life living from trauma and you don't trust yourself. But it's like little things. It's like little things. Doing tiny steps and then going, that's how that turned out. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe I'll do another tiny thing and then another tiny thing. And that builds trust, because the more you listen to your body and your heart and your gut and your instincts and all of the information that's coming to you, the more you listen to it and follow it, even if you get it wrong, you're sending this message to yourself of like, I matter. The messages that I am receiving matter. Who I am matters. And each time you make a little incremental step into trusting yourself, you're saying, I matter. My needs matter. What matters to me matters. This is my life. And so that incremental building of trust makes all the difference in the world. And it also helps you to become the safe person that you needed as a child, whatever safety means or looks like to you. And the more you become your own safe person, the safer you are, and the more your life becomes yours, as opposed to being lived from behaviors that are actually designed to, that are no longer relevant because I'm not a child. But I've realized that the child part of me has been running the show for most of my life. And so becoming a safe person for myself, becoming safe in my own body, becoming able to hear those parts of me that are freaking out and criticizing me or telling me I'm going to be an idiot or whatever, loving those parts and accepting that they're actually trying to protect me and that they're coping mechanisms and all of that all builds safety too. And so, yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that.
That's a lot, but as opposed to shutting those parts of yourself down or suppressing that in some way, it's like what you're speaking to is self-awareness and like having that awareness enough to say and to be able to say, oh, okay, I noticed that, and okay, I get why you're doing that, and I'm still going to go and do what I want to do because I love to dance. I know it's going to make me feel great. I know you've given me a million reasons why I shouldn't do it.
And also, I love you for wanting to protect me, because how lovely is that? Like, that's a lovely thing. So nice to have, some part of you that's going, I want to protect you. You're going to make a terrible mistake. It's like, that's very sweet. Thank you. Whereas I think what we're trained to do is go, oh, like, what are you, why, like, fight that part of me, get rid of it. It's the killer in the psyche. It's whatever, like there's all these ways of labeling it. It's the inner critic, that's so mean. Why would you label a part of yourself the inner critic? Like if you really, really want to be fully who you are, then all of those places that are not comfortable and critical and hurt or protective or whatever, or make you say dumb shit to people or behave badly or whatever it is, they all need love. They do not need to be labeled with nasty labels. They do not, because they're parts of you that have been wounded in one way or another and are trying to prevent you from repeating from being in that same scenario or repeating those things. And so anything other than, oh, you're so sweet wanting to do this. I'm not sure about your methods. Like, your methods are not awesome, but you are so sweet. Yeah,
I get what you're trying to do here, and and thank you for having my back.
But actually, how about you just thank you, go sit behind me. I'm gonna go do this thing.
How about I'm going to go do this thing? You sit and watch from the stands.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I think everybody can relate to that voice inside the head that comes in and wants to protect us from embarrassment or failure or whatever it is that we're trying to be
doing
protected.
Doing anything that's uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Ooh, so this is the one final piece that I've really, everything that you've shared, there's just been so much in what you've shared. And I know there were so many times where you were talking there where I could really see myself. And I know that there'll be people watching who are also able to see themselves in what you've been sharing about. And no, I just wanted to touch back on how you actually spoke to meditation as well. And, there is a direct link between meditation and becoming more self-aware, just becoming more aware of how the mind is actually working. I think it was through my meditation practices that I actually began to discover that more about that voice, as well as through writing and just vocalizing and sharing about what's going on. So thank you for giving all those voices a voice, and not just tucking them away and having them had you stopped in life, because had you have been continuing to be stopped in life, I would never have met you, and we would never have co-created the magic that we've co-created thus far. And one of the final pieces that I'd love, I don't know how we're going to do this, and I'm really hoping for your creative partnership in this final piece. And you spoke about joy, and that was one of the things that I've never forgotten that you shared at that camp that we were at, about taking joy from other people's joy. And I actually have this, because I'm not that clever with the Zoom and sharing music and things like that, but I do have this one activity that's called the joy alarm. And it's basically where somebody shouts joy alarm, and then we imagine the music inside our heads, and then we start dancing to it.
Right now on Zoom.
Or, so, because the only thing is with the Zoom recording, the Zoom is only showing the person who's speaking at the time. So our Zoom recording is not the both of us. It's going straight to the speaker. So I guess if we were going to do the joy alarm, I just would love to do something practical that we could actually invite people to join in with us right now in this moment, to either experience some joy and actually join in with us, or to invite them to take joy from our joy.
One of the things that I'm just thinking right now is how nice it would be to like just drop into our bodies like in this moment. So like if someone's never dropped into their body before, it's kind of like feeling for the inside of yourself, which I like to call the inner meat. Like if you imagine your inner meat, it's like inside your rib cage, inside your thighs, like right inside your thighs, inside your belly, and just sort of noticing yourself inside a body. And for some people that's really hard. It used to be very hard for me to actually feel into my own body, because I was often just in my head and not wanting to be in my own body. And so you can, if you're somebody that it's hard for, there's a few things that you can do, which could be you could actually literally feel your own body, like feel the parts of your body, and as you're doing that, like feel this, feel your hand touching you, but also feel the part of your body from the inside where the hand is touching, and that's really kind of grounding. But also just kind of you can put your imagination into different parts of your body. So you could put your imagination into your hips or your pelvis and just let it move around. And then, if you've got some kind of connection with the inside of you and you're like feeling into inside of you, it's like asking your own body, if you were going to move in a way that was expressing joy, what would that look like? And it would look different for every person. Like for me in this moment, I want to do something silly, like or, or it might be like, I'm going to do that. Yeah. Or maybe you want to stand up and like wiggle your hips around, or do something really silly, or do like the New Zealanders do with the haka and go like, or make noise,
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo, 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 woo. That's what I want to do.
There's something really liberating about moving your body the way you want to, even if it's something really dumb or you're going to look stupid. Like often if I get asked how I want to move, I just want to like do this. I just want to like really like flop around and make my hands really floppy and do that, and we're kind of taught by conditioning and Instagram and God knows what else that, if you're going to move your body, it should be like really sexy and, you got to have the moves down, baby. And so to actually do just what your body wants, like it might just be you just want to like flop down to your toes and groan, or shake, like really shake or make stupid faces. And the more you can kind of get on the side of yourself and just move how you want to move, even if it looks dumb, the more the body kind of goes, oh, you're listening to me, good, then how about you do this, and how about you do this, and then the more you move, this, like I was going to say this before, an alternative to therapy, and I'm not saying like go to therapy if that's what floats your boat, but an alternative to therapy or a complement to therapy also is movement, like really, really conscious movement, meaning that you're doing what your body wants to do, because when you do that, you actually move things through your body. Like you can move stuff and change things without having to think it through or talk it through, just with the intention of like, I'm just gonna move with whatever's going on for me right now. I don't even know what that is, and often when you move that way, joy might come up, or tears might come up, or you might notice that actually I'm really tired, or my shoulder's really sore, or things that you hadn't noticed before. And the more you do that, the more you are becoming embodied, and the more embodied you are, the more you receive information from your whole being, and the more you do that, the more joyous you can be. And then
Wow, Pollyanna. I said it from the start. You're very, very wise. And awesome. And thank you. You've inspired me now. I'm going to, once we finish up this call, I'm going to head across the road and go to the gym and put some music on, and I'm just going to actually start moving my body the way my body wants to move, instead of like get on the treadmill. Like I'm going to actually just allow my body to move and to see what wants to move through me as well, because I feel like there could be something ready to move through.
Yeah, and if anybody's watching and you want to go try this out, be aware that if you put some music on, it might take 1, 2, 3 tracks before you feel like you're actually in your body, and it might be kind of clunky and you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this is dumb, or I don't really feel like this. But if you hang in there with like, I'm just going to get to where I'm kind of grooving in my own way, you will get there, and then that's super pleasurable. And then afterwards, it's a bit like when you have a big cry. It's like, something's moved in me, so there's a bit more space, and I feel more in my own being, which is the best place to be.
Oh, Pollyanna, thank you so much for joining me today. You are absolutely radiating in red, and
my very red nose. I feel like my whole face is like, oh, the joy, like the joy of perimenopause. It's so exciting.
It is a wonderful place to be, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, and if you want to reach out to Pollyanna for any reason, can they, or should they
just I'm on Instagram as Falling in Love with Life. You can come find me there.
Amazing. Yeah, and And I hope you have an amazing weekend, Pollyanna. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your heart and your wisdom. And I know that entire journey, like you've shared it all in about 40 minutes. It's like, I understand that there's a lot more. And so I hope that one day we can have another conversation and get some more of that, some more of those golden nuggets. But until then, thank you so much. And yeah, I love you.
I love you too. Thank you, Kate.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Mwah!